Welcome everybody to Options Trading, brought to you by Alpha Traders. In this video, we're going to talk about the bread and butter of options, and that's your calls and puts. This is video number 6 in a 9-video series. We've already talked about the history. We went over what options are. We talked briefly about derivatives. And then a bunch of terms from which you should know if you're going to trade the options market. And now a couple of those terms are calls and puts. Now, we talked about that earlier. So now let's go over and redefine what calls and puts are so that you are fresh and you know exactly what it is. So a call option is a type of option which grants the holder the right, but not the obligation, to buy the relevant underlying security at an agreed strike price. And a put option is the same thing, except it's for the sell. So a type of option which grants the holder the right, but not the obligation, to sell the relevant underlying stock or security at an agreed strike price. So to keep it super easy, a call essentially is a contract where the trader believes that the price will go up or the direction will go north. And a put option is meant for people or traders who believe that the price will go down. So why would we call calls and puts the bread and butter of options? These types of contracts are the very foundation of what options trading is. They allow a trader to take a position either long or short in the market. And for that reason, they become the foundation of everything that options trading actually is. These options also make available to a trader a way to hedge some positions and take speculative positions as well as positions in underlying stock. So some option traders, they'll go their entire trading career and they'll never venture further than calls and puts. What I definitely want to express in this video is you don't need to complicate options any more than they already are if you don't want to. If all you want to do is just play calls and maybe even no puts, just calls, then that's fine. You could do just that and you could be a successful trader and you could trade like that for the rest of your life. If you want to do calls and puts, you want to long and short the market, that's fine too. We'll talk about some advanced options in an upcoming video, but I really want to hammer down that you could just do calls and you could just do puts. And if you understand the fundamental reason why a call and the reason why a put and why you're trading them, then you could be a successful options trader. All right, so let's take a look at an options call. This is SHAK, which is Shack, and that is the ticker for Shake Shack. So what you're looking at on the screen right now, this is what we were talking about in the terminology video when we talked about an options chain or an options table. So this is very similar to what you may see, of course, depending on the brokerage or exchange that you're using. But what you see right here in the middle line, this is your strike, right? And your strike is what you're saying that the price is or what the price is going to be at a given time, right? So now we're looking at this particular option setup here, this particular move. And what you see over here, this is your expiration, September 4th, 2020, all right? Now, when you look at that table, that's your expiration. This is your strike. And then generally you'll have calls on the left, puts on the right. That's how almost everybody does it. This is the same thing. Your call column are these over here. And your strike or your put column is over here in this table. The strike in the middle, for example, the last price was 57.73. Okay. So if we're at 57.5, or for to make life a little bit easier, 57, let's go 58, right? So 58 is higher than the current price, right? Meaning if you were going to go long, if you were going to buy a call option at 58, there is no intrinsic value. Remember, we talked about intrinsic value. We talked about in the money. We talked about out of the money, right? These are all those things finally coming to a head so that you can actually see what options look like. But let's say, for lack of a better example, you feel very confident that Shake Shack is going to get up to $60 by September 4th, right? Then you could feel very comfortable buying a $58 strike call option, right? So long as you feel that, by September 4th, that's going to happen. Now, if it doesn't, let's say it never breaks 58, that will expire worthless. That's your risk. All right. So remember, if this call option right here, now the bid and the ask, right? So if you wanted to market by that, first off, look at the spread, 219 to 258. Okay. 219, 258. The difference there is your spread. All right. Now, from that, let's not forget, right? If you were to market this and not limit this, then you're going to market by a 258. So you buy a 258. Now all of a sudden you're $258 in, because remember that's 258 times 100. You're moving 100 contracts. You're moving 100 of the underlying security. At this point, it would be Shake Shack. So if you're moving that many, then that $2.58 becomes $258. That's going to be your cost right here. So now you get in there and you never hit 58. Well, that 258 becomes your risk. You're $258 in. If it expires worthless, right, then you're down to zero. So that 258 is gone. All right, so the same logic applies here for puts as well. You feel that it's going to drop. You feel that 58 is the ceiling, 57.73 is the top. It's absolutely not going any higher. You're fairly confident it's going to be going down into the low 50s. So you can get a 54 strike and say, okay, I have from now until September 14th. So this is 14 days. So we were looking at this back in August, sometime in mid-August. In order to get the 14-day look over at September 14th. Anyway, make a long story short, your price over here is a little bit better. It's cheaper, but again, you're way further out of the money. Remember, you're out of the money because you needed to go under 54. If that was a call, you would be very much in the money, right? Because you're $3.73 past where your strike rate is at 54. So it holds intrinsic value. This has no value except the premium at the moment. All right, so this is what it looks like. You need to understand what these look like. You need to get familiar with what they look like. So let's just blow it up a little bit, make it a little bit easier. So what we're looking at here is an option sheet. Available options that expire on the day of September 4, 2020. We looked at the expiration date. You could take a speculative position if we feel that Shack will increase in price by September 4th. So in the white, that's this right here, in that column, right, is the strike. That's the strike price. The left column is the current bid, while the column next to it is the ask. So this is your bid and this is your ask. We can see the strike of 57, so 57 for the moment right here, is considered in the money because at the time we took that screenshot, remember, it was 57.73. So a strike of 57 is considered in the money. And you have a little ITM over there to let you know it is. The further in the money you go, the more expensive the option costs because it has intrinsic value. To add to that, the further back you go or the further you become in the money, if you bought a call option at 57 and this thing goes to 65 or 67, now you're $10 in the money. Your premium on top of the intrinsic value will become more and more and more and more valuable. So you'll end up making money on that, obviously. All right, now put options, right? The table's the same. We already looked at that. You have the table on the left over here is your calls. The table on the right over here is your puts, right? So nothing changed here. What you're looking at here is the same deal. There's a bid, there's an ask, and there's a strike price. We already have the expiration. Remember, the columns that we're looking at now is just a zoomed in view of the table we just saw. And the table we just saw had an expiration of September 4th. So what we see again here is an option sheet. with the expiration of September 4th. We could take a speculative position if we feel that Shaq will decrease in price by September 4th. In the white, again, is the strike. This is your strike, right? And then you have your bid, and then you have your ask. So we could see that 58 is considered in the money if you're going puts, because remember the price was 57.73. So anything above 57.73 will be considered in the money because now you're going the other direction. You expect it to go lower, which means if you have a strike of 58, all you need is for the price to be below 58 and you're in the money. If it moves past 58, you are now considered out of the money. All right, so let's take a look at another example before we close this video down. This one is for AMD. So you can see up on the top left, AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, right? This is just a chip making company. They also make graphic cards. They're NVIDIA's biggest competitor. But anyway, to make a long story short, they are very, very, very popular when it comes to trading options. There's tons of liquidity, which is great, right? Which is something that every trader wants, no matter what they're trading, period. You want liquidity. Now, what we're looking over here is November 20th, 2020. So look how much further away we went. This is considered 91 days away from when we took this screenshot for the video. That being said, we have a current price of 83.18. So this is the last traded price as far as what they're receiving on the NASDAQ, right? From here, we could take a look at the table. These are your strike prices, 65 down to 105. And there's likely more. This is just what you can see on the screen at the time. There will be plenty of strikes that you'll come by where you might have a price of 1 penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies. Some exchanges will let you buy those. Some exchanges round them up to 5 cents, which is, you know, you're going to have to pay $5. All right, so there's plenty of those out there. This is just a nice grouping of, you know, about 10 or so brackets away from your standard price or your in the money price both ways. All right. So if we wanted to do a call over here, let's say 83 is good. That's about the all-time high in that ballpark for AMD. So that's huge. Well, but let's just say you're feeling really confident about it and you don't want to pay $880. You want to pay somewhere around half that. No problem. So you find a strike of around $100, right? Now, $100 is obviously far away from your current price of $83.14. So the only option you have here to be in the money is $82.50 and lower. Right? There is no 83 or 84 or 84.50. There's an 85. And you will notice on different exchanges that there are differences between all of your available strike rates. Not every exchange will have those available. One that has become very, very, very popular for options trading that should be noted is Robinhood. Robinhood does not offer all of the same strikes as other exchanges out there, other brokers out there. There are plenty of different brokers to choose from. Just be very mindful what they do offer, what strikes that they offer, and which ones have liquidity and which ones don't. All right, so from here, anyway, we can see volume right here. If you were wondering where that was. Volume on this particular exchange are these little purple things. And you could change all those, this graph button down here, you could change that to show different things. But this is obviously the one with the most volume. And then you have a ton of volume down here for the 95 and 100. So if I was just blindly looking at this, I would absolutely not take the 105s because the volume is very, very, very low. Very similar to in crypto. If you trade some particular coins that have very, very, very low liquidity, it's very difficult to get in and it's very difficult to get out. Options is no different. You're going to need somebody to sell to, or you're going to need someone to buy from you, depending on, you know, which way you're going with it. But that being said, I would steer clear of this one if I didn't like the volume. So we wanted the 100 anyway. It has plenty of volume. We're okay with that. The spread over here is only $15, right? Your difference of 15 cents times 100 becomes $15. So for $4, or for $4.15, this is what you're looking at. What you do want to do is make sure that the next strike is far enough away so that you feel that you're not that you're getting a good deal, but you feel that you're actually making money on this. There are a lot of times in options that strikes might be very similar, right, from distance, right? This is a $5 push, where this over here is a $2.50 push. But you'll get times where maybe the value of this one's only 10 cents more. And then it becomes a little bit trickier to decide how many brackets out you want to go. And when I talk about brackets out, what I'm talking about is each strike level away from in the money, consider that a bracket. So some options traders are 3 brackets either way, and they don't go that far past the center line or normal or ATM, right? We just consider that the money. For myself and for plenty of other strategies out there, up to 5 brackets is okay. There are strategies out there where you go 10 brackets out. You might go 15, 20 brackets out. And those options may only be 30 cents, right? So you get in for, $300, or you get in, some of those are 3 cents, right? So you get in very, very, very cheap, and those things can double. If the move is right, if the timing is right, if the direction is right, you might be able to see a huge move on that, where it goes 100, 200, 300, 400%. And even though it only went from 6 cents to 12 cents, I mean, that's a 100% move on your capital, which is fantastic. So again, that's the call side. The put side, same deal. 83, I'm saying 83 is the all-time high. That's crazy for AMD. Tech sector is booming, but AMD and NVIDIA are both going to come crashing down. I think this thing is going to be in the 60s. I'm going to take a much safer play over here at 70. I'll give myself some wiggle room if I'm wrong. Say, okay, I want a $70 strike rate. I'm looking over here. It's a 10-cent spread. It's a little bit more volume than these guys over here, which have absolutely none. And the next highest volume is too close for me. 80 is just too close. It's too expensive. I don't want to deal with this. So I'm going to go to the next one. Now, you have to decide for yourself if this is enough volume for you. Let's say for this example, it's more than enough. It's fine. I'm only buying 1 contract, right? So I buy 1 contract. I can try to limit buy that at $380, or I can market buy it at the first available or the lowest asking, which is $390, or $390 times 100. And then over here, it's done. Now, I need AMD to go down, right? I need AMD to go down below 70. Now, to get a ballpark picture of what you may be looking at as far as profits concerned, this is, let's just say, for lack of better terms or lack of better example, let's say this is a nice even $10 away. Take a look at a strike that's about $10 away from your current situation. All right, so we could do that right here. So let's do 92.50 to 82.50. And let's say right now this is now worth $1,500. Now, if I do the same thing with 10 over here, 72.5, this is about $460. So it's almost 3 times what I put in. Let's say I put in 500 and now it's worth 15. This is an approximate example, or one way to sort of not cheat the system, but one way to sort of figure out what could this potentially be worth if I do become $10 in the money on this particular move. So take a look at how the premiums have been moving, and this right here will show you 82.50 in the money, 92.50, $10 away. That's worth about $1,500 with a fairly reasonable spread of $15. No big deal. 82.50, 72.50. If I were to buy this instead, even if I market bought it at $475, let's round it up to $500. It's worth $1,500. Right? So there's just one way to go through your options, try to decide what something may be worth, or what kind of push does something like this even have in it. All right, so I know this one was a little bit longer, but it's very, very, very important to familiarize yourself with those option sheets, with those options tables, so that you can decipher for yourself what it is, what you're looking at, so you can read it properly and be able to trade this market without way too much confusion. All right, so that was bread and butter, calls and puts. This is options trading. We will see you on the next video.